Good morning, students. In the last class, we have learned how traits are controlled by genes. What is gene? A section or fragment of DNA of a chromosome that contains the information for the synthesis of one protein is known as gene. Like this, many genes are present for the production of many proteins, and each protein is going to contribute a particular structural or functional characteristics, right? For every body design, DNA is the blueprint. Parents, they have DNA for their body design. Progeny or offspring, which we call children, they also have DNA for their body design. How the progeny organisms have got their DNA? Progeny organisms have got their DNA contributed equally from both of their parents during the process of sexual reproduction. So, assume that there is a progeny of organisms. From where they have got the DNA? They have got their DNA from both of their parents, male parent and female parent. And did they give unequal amounts of DNA to their progeny? No. Both the parents, they contribute the DNA equally to their progeny. This is according to our learned Mendelian experimental results. If both of the parents can help determine the trait in the progeny, then each parent of the two parents must be contributing a copy of the same gene for a trait in the progeny. See, for every trait, a pair or two copies of genes, two copies of DNA or genetic versions of gene are present. If both the parents are contributing equally, then from each parent only one copy of a genetic information is coming for a particular trait. From male, one copy. From female, another copy. So, in progeny organism, for a given trait, how many copies have come? Two copies. For every trait, two copies of the gene are contributed equally from both of their parents. Thus, a very sexually reproduced organism like garden pea plant must have two sets or two copies of all genes. For every genes, two sets of genetic information or two copies of genetic information. Like this, for how many genes it is present? For all of the genes, two copies. So each gene is contributing one trait or character. So all genes means for all the characteristics and their traits. For every characteristic, two copies of genes are present. For example, for character height, two copies of the gene are present, either in capital T in combination, or capital T small t combination, or small t combination. For character seed shape, two copies of the gene, capital R, round. Okay, capital R, small r, round, wrinkled. But expressed trait is round. Small r, wrinkled. Expressed trait is wrinkled. For the character seed color, two copies of the gene, capital Y, yellow, capital Y, yellow, small y, yellow. Green. Like this, two copies of genes are present for every trait. In two copies of every gene for every trait in two copies, that is in capital T or capital T small or small t. Each one copy, that is one capital T or one small t, it is inherited from each parent. Are you getting it? So, example, two copies, capital T, small t are there. Capital T is inherited from one parent, small t is inherited from another parent. Not necessarily that one is male, another. Okay, capital T may be inherited from female parent and small t is inherited from male parent. In the case of garden pea plants, we can't say something is male, something is female like that. One plant and another plant. Okay, like this. Both parents equally contribute the genetic information. So, each parent contributes genetic information to the progeny organisms. How? By producing gametes or germ cells. How the parents are contributing the genetic information to the progeny organisms? By producing gametes or germ cells. Now coming to germ cells or gametes. Each germ cell from a parent must have only one set or one copy of gene for every trait. So each gamete from a parent, it will have how many sets or how many copies of a gene for a particular trait? Only one set or one copy of gene for a particular trait. When these gametes or germ cells fuse, means combine. When germ cells or gametes fuse or combine, the copies of the genes of the same characteristics of both the parents, they form pairs. For example, there is one capital T has come from one parental plant, small through its gametes. Small t copy has come from another parent through its gametes. Both these gametes fused. Then the combined cell or in zygote, that capital T and small t, they are going to form pairs. And there is capital R that has come from one parent, small r has come from another parent. So in the zygote, capital R and small r are going to form pairs. Capital T, capital R or capital T small r or small t capital R, they do not form pairs. For a particular trait, whatever the copies of the genes are there, okay, they only can form the pair. So this makes the each individual progeny organism to have two copies of every gene for every single characteristic or for every single outward appearing trait. As they are forming pairs, this makes each individual progeny organism to have two copies of every gene for every single characteristic or for every outward appearing trait. The normal body cells of an organism, that is sexually reproducing organism also, each cells have two copies of every gene for every outward appearing trait. So for every outward appearing trait or for every characteristic, how many copies of genes are there in normal body cells? Two copies of genes are there for every outward appearing trait or for every characteristic. In which cells? In normal cells. Then how do germ cells make single copy of gene for every trait? Or how do germ cells have single copy of gene for every trait? When normal cells are having two copies of gene for every trait, how these gametes are having single copy of gene for every trait? Progeny organisms, they do not get inherited a single whole gene set from each parent. Total all genes for all the characteristics all together, one continuous set of genes. One continuous set of genes. All genes are arranged side by side like that. The progeny organisms do not get. Because of this only, progeny organisms are formed with different combinations of traits than from parental traits combination. If all the genes are inherited in a single set in a linked manner, then in a given species all the time we can have only two types of organisms. But is it happening? In a given species many organisms are there with different combinations of traits, not with only two combinations of traits. If single set of genes would have arrived in progeny organisms by the inheritance process, then only how many combinations of traits would be possible in every species? Only two combinations of traits would be possible in every species. But is it happening? There are multiple combinations of traits are seen in the organisms of the same population or same species, because single whole gene set is not getting inherited from parents to offspring, and genes that are belonging to different traits are getting independently inherited. Okay, for example, yellow and red in the previous plant, they are there, assume that. In next generation also, if you think that yellow and red only will form the combination, then we are wrong. The yellow may be just making a combination with the wrinkled one. Wrinkled one may be forming a combination with the green one. Any combination may be possible. Because of that thing only, in dihybrid cross, 9:3:3:1 ratio of combinations of plants are obtained. So, all these things are happening because genes of different characteristics are not present in a linked condition in the cellular DNA. How is it happening? Let us discuss in the next class.